Good evening, everybody. I'm so excited about our call tonight. We have a real treat for you. We have Celine Egan with us. Woo, go nuts, yay! This lady is so inspiring to me. She is such a servant leader, not just in her professional life, but in her personal life. She's a true example of a powerhouse woman, a brilliant mama, a wife, and the way that she carries herself through life. With authenticity and heart and passion and humour, most of all. And she could probably beat you in a sculling contest with a pint because she does have that Irish streak in her as well. But Celine, for me, is just an incredible human being, and we are so blessed to have her in this amazing company and in this profession. And I am so honoured to call her a friend and business partner, and I know she'll be in my life forever. And I'm just so excited that you guys get to hear from her tonight. What other company does the CEO sit down with people in the field and have a good old chinwag on a Monday night? You know, we are just so blessed, Celine. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. What I'd love to do is I'd love to ask you to start with your story, because you've been in the network marketing profession for about a year or two.
Just a couple.
Yeah. So I'd love you to tell everyone, like, how did you get into network marketing? Like, tell us a little bit about your story, because it goes back a little bit.
Yeah, just a while. First of all, thank you for that lovely introduction. I kind of got a bit teary-eyed there listening and whatever. I just feel incredibly blessed to be able to kind of serve. I really do. And I'll start straight out of the gate in that I am definitely an accidental. Somebody needs to probably try and pop on mute. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, Megan.
Yeah, you got it.
Megan, did we get her? Yep.
Yeah, cool. Not a worry. It just sounded like somebody was doing the dishes. And if you want to, that's fine, but come and do mine next then, okay? But yeah, so I am definitely an accidental direct seller. I mean, this is not where I actually envisaged that I would be. And for some of you, that could very well be the case. And I want to be, straight up about that. I signed my first application in direct selling company when I was 19. So it's just a few years ago now. In fact, I've been in this profession for 35 years. 35 years, that's older than some of you, longer than some of you are alive. But anyhow, and I feel incredibly blessed. So why did I initially get started? Well, actually, it was a friend of my mum's idea. I'm an introvert by nature. I was incredibly shy. I was fine with my own circle of friends and whatever like that, but outside of that, to be able to have conversations with people, that was just an absolute no-no. And my mum's friend, who was in direct sales, like she, in a conversations kind of thing, she knew that level of fear I had, I suppose, about interacting with other people might hold me back down the track from anything else that I wanted to do. So it actually was a personal development journey in the first instances. And I honestly never thought that it would be more than that. But it was an absolute blessing. It really was. So it started off in, sitting around in lounge rooms and kitchens back in Dublin, Ireland, chit-chatting with people, to now standing in front of, being able to stand in front of thousands of people. And then I never would have thought that I would have done that. People say to me, do you still get nervous being an introvert and that? And I absolutely do. And in fact, even, prepping for a call like tonight, I still get a little bit nervous about it all. Why? Because I always want to make sure that I have that expectation to be able to serve. And in fact, I think the day that I don't get, nervous about a call or nervous about, standing on stage or whatever it might be, is probably the day that I give it all away, because I won't feel that I'm playing full out and that it actually means something for me. So for those of you who kind of think, are still feeling a little bit nervous when you do something, and it's not about that nervous that grips you with fear that you don't do it, but that anticipation within, I'm going to encourage you to keep going, because that's actually a good thing. That's how I look at it. I actually feel that it's a good thing. You're bringing yourself to the table. So let's fast forward a bit. So what did my direct sales business do for me back then? Well, you know what? It was that extra little bit of pocket money, which was very, very nice. I was a young kid, already dating Mick at that stage back in Ireland. We've been together for 30 37 years now, nearly 38 years. And so, you know, it was that extra little bit of pocket money. But what it did do was definitely the personal development side, was it allowed me to kind of really see what was possible in my life. And so at the age of 22, packed up our bags, myself and Mick, and we decided we would go travel the world. And we ended up in Australia. And you know, again, came here for a 1-year working holiday, forgot to go home is oftentimes what I say to people, because, you know, here we are now down the track. We've been in Australia now for 32, coming up 33 years, blessed with, you know, 3 beautiful children now as well. And it was literally going to be a 1-year working holiday and then head back home. And so even along that, not long after I actually landed in Australia, I got back involved in the direct sale business. Now, again, it was something that was more about, you know, having that extra little bit of income. It was something about being able to kind of add, we come out here, we wanted to, you know, I went straight working into merchant banking, which was kind of the career that I actually had alongside what I was doing in direct sales. And so it was something that was just that sidebar thing. It was just that something that allowed us just to have the extra nice little bits. And then it actually allowed us to save for our wedding, to go back home to Ireland, because if we didn't go home to get married, we would have been murdered. Back home to Ireland to actually get married and then come back out. Still never actually thinking that we would stay here. We always thought that it was a temporary thing. So my direct sales thing, I looked at it as just a temporary thing. It was just something I did on the side to be able to have that extra bit of fun money. And that was the honest to God truth. I never looked at it as a serious career. And I regret that I actually didn't make that shift earlier. And I mean, you know, there's always reasons for things. I always kind of look at there are no accidents, but there are times where I kind of talk to myself and I kind of go, oh my gosh, how come I didn't get this earlier? How come I didn't realize the gift I had in my hand? And it was probably the first tip that I will actually give you, is to actually realize what you've got in your hand. And it doesn't matter where you are sitting in the business right now. It might be that you have just joined. It might be that you're just looking. You might be somebody who's just looking and going, who is this group? Do I actually want to kind of come alongside these people? Or it could be that you've been here a week, a month, 10 years. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it takes a while for us to unwrap the gift. And that's what I would say to you. It was probably a good, really, if I think about from when I signed my first application in direct sales to when I actually said yes to this business, was actually a good 7 years. Really and truly, because when I said yes to this business was the time when I actually unwrapped the gift. I'd had this gift that was given to me. I'd kind of pulled off the corner. I'd had a little look inside. I'd kind of taken a little bit of advantage of the gift and all the rest kind of thing. But I had not ripped the paper off with gay abandon to go, whoa, what's this? I'm excited. And that did not happen till actually a few years down the track, when we'd kind of gone home to Ireland, got married, came back, built our first home. I was back in full-time work when both of our first children, 2 children, Shane and Cara, there's only 18 months between them. So Cara was born, then 18 months later we had Shane. And with each of them, I was back in the merchant bank 3 months after they were born. So 3, just think about now. And now when I think about it, I go, oh my God, how did I do that? Like I look at a little baby that's 3 months old and I'm going, how did I but I, you know, at that point in time, I actually did not realize that there were other options. And it was only when I had gone back to work after having Shane, he was born in the January, I was back in work in the April. And Christine, beautiful, beautiful friend of mine, she rang me to see how I was. And I have to say, I had a massive pity party. I had a real pity party about the fact that, you know what, I was getting up, and some of you, this might be your reality, and it's okay. It's okay. And that this was my reality. I was getting up and leaving the house with 2 children under 2 by 7 o'clock in the morning. I was dropping them off to childcare. I was going off to work and putting in a full day at work. I was leaving there at around about 4:30, 5 o'clock to go pick them up and then go home, wash, feed them, put them to bed, literally kind of just fall into bed myself or do whatever needs to be prepared for the next day and go the next day. Is there anything wrong with that? No. but is that how I had seen my life roll out? When we decided to stay in Australia on the other side of the world from our families, and that was not the life that I actually expected. I loved my husband, I loved our two children and that, but I did not realize that, you know what, that the sacrifices to make to kind of be on just a rat race the whole time, that was not how I had seen my life build. So when Christine rang to actually just check in and see how I was and that as well, I had a bit of a pity party, and she said, I think we need to do coffee. So of course, you know, we went and we did coffee, and we had a bit of a conversation. It was lovely. She just listened to me. She just listened to me have my pity party. She just listened and didn't try and jump in. And this is what I still remember this conversation. And those children, by the way, are so Cara will be 28 next week, and Shane is 26 and a half. Cara gets married in September, Shane gets married next January, and we added another one to that tribe, which is Daniel, who's 23 and 6'4". So, you know, I remember this conversation as if it was only yesterday. She sat in that moment with me, and she listened to everything that I was saying. Now, what I didn't know until afterwards is that I was giving her all the ammunition to be able to provide a solution for me. But what was really powerful, and what I tried to kind of emulate going forward myself when I really got it, was that being in the space with someone, when you ask that question, actually taking the time to listen to the answer is the powerful thing. Because once I had downloaded everything and had my bleh kind of thing, she just said, well, what if it could be different? And I was kind of like, what do you mean? What if it could be different? It was like as if I really thought that she'd lost it, to be perfectly honest. You know, we had built this house, we had this massive mortgage. Oh, by the way, that was around about the same time too that interest rates decided they would go through the roof. I don't know anybody else is on this call old enough to remember when interest rates hit 18%, but anyhow, some of you might have heard the folklore about it and that, but we built our brand new home. So again, I did not feel that there was a way out. So when she said, like, you know, what if it could be different, you know, I kind of go, you know, you're mad. It can't be different. This is just the way it is. She said, yeah, but what if it could be? I said, well, what do you mean? She said, but Celine, you've got a business in your hand that you actually, you know what, without even trying, you're actually quite good at it. I go, what do you mean? And she said, you've got your Tupperware. At that point in time, I was a Tupperware chick. She says, you've got your Tupperware business in your hand that you could actually make something of if you really, really wanted to, if you were committed to doing that and really, truly wanted to change your circumstances rather than just say it. Now, that's the other powerful thing there. How many of us actually just talk about changing our circumstances, but when push comes to shove, we don't really want to, because you know what? That might take a little bit of effort, and that might mean that we might have to change some things. So I had a kind of, you know, I said, well, you know what? I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it. I know I can play at this thing, but I don't know if I could actually do it. And then she said, well, I'm not going to try and give you any smart answers here. I'm just going to say, well, you're not going to know unless you actually try, unless you give it a go. You know, you're not going to know that. And so that was kind of okay, alrighty. And then I said, but what will people think? Now, I don't know if any of you guys kind of have ever, I said, look, I've got a serious career. I was in merchant banking and, you know, and all the rest. I worked for Elders Finance and yada, yada, yada. And she said, so what are you worried about? Well, what will people think? And I said, well, you know, it's direct sales. It's one of those things kind of thing, you know, what will people think? And she said, so who are you worried about? What will people think? She said, because at the end of the day, what you've got to ask yourself is, the people you're worried about are what their opinion is going to be. Just say you were to lose your job at Elders Finance in the next week or two. You would still have 2 children under 2, and you would still have a mortgage, and you would still have shift working husband and all the rest kind of thing. Would those people that you were worried about what they thought, would they be the ones that would come around to pay your mortgage? And I had to say, it was kind of like when I really thought about it, I'm going, you know what? I had some beautiful people in my life, but would they show up to pay our mortgage? Would they show up to be there the whole time? Like maybe short term, they might, you know, like there might be, but would they long term? be there to be able to kind of pick up the baggage, remembering that our family was on the other side of the world. So, you know, myself and Mick, we really were, this was it. This was us. We were the ones that were there for one another. And so I kind of went, oh yeah, okay, all right. Well, I'll just think about it, kind of thing. You know, driving away thinking, I'm not going to think about it. This is just ridiculous. So I went home and had a bit of a conversation with Mick, and we talked about it. And I slept that night. I have to say, I couldn't really sleep. Everything that was just going through my head was, you know what, why am I worried about what other people would think? And she's right. I'm not going to know if I can do this unless I give it a go. And so Mick, as always, even though he has thought that I should probably be, you know, admitted somewhere and is slightly crazy and all that kind of thing over the years, he has always been my number one supporter. He's been always that person who has stood by me and cheered me on, even when he thought I was loopy. And so, you know, he said, look, you know what, if you want to give it a go, I'll be here to support you. I have no idea what you're about to do, but I'll be here to support you. And so I decided that I was going to give this a red hot yes. I was actually going to say yes to my business for the first time ever. Remember, I had dabbled for many years, but I was actually going to say yes. That was the thing that was really, really important. And I decided that it was going to be a case of actually one of my first mentors, in actually one of my first meetings, she had this sign up, and it was kind of on the board, and it said, if it is to be, it is up to me. Many of you have heard that. I took that and it was stuck to the front of my diary for probably about the next 8 to 10 years. Every year I would, when it got tattered, I'd write up a new one, but every single year it was stuck on the front of my diary. And it basically was that, if it is to be, it is up to me. The most important 10 two-letter words. And the reason why, I know we're in this as a team, and I know that we have amazing support around, but at the end of the day, the person who has to get up and make something happen is you. The person who has to believe and has to take the action is the person who looks at you in the mirror, back from the mirror every morning. And so I decided that, you know what, I was actually going to give it a go. I was going to believe that anything was possible. Now, did I intellectually kind of really, really, absolutely in my heart and soul believe that I could make it happen? In that moment, I'm going to say, no, I didn't. But I knew I was prepared to give it a go. I knew that I'm a hard worker. I mean, we still had the 2 children under 2. I tried to give them away, but they kept being given back. So that wasn't happening. I still had the full-time job. Okay, so I was still leaving the house at 7 o'clock in the morning and not getting back till close to 6 o'clock of an evening. That didn't change. What did change, though, was every single lunch break, which was, by the way, was 30 minutes. Every single lunch break, I was on the phone smiling and dialing. And that was in the days when you actually had to pick the phone up and use it. You couldn't Facebook message, you couldn't text. We got excited when we got emails, for heaven's sake. In fact, I got excited when I got a fax machine, because it meant I could fax my order. Some of you don't even know what that is. But, you know, so it was like a case of actually smiling and dialing. I like my food. For those who know me, I like my food and drink. And so I wasn't allowed to have my lunch until I had done at least 2 to 3 phone calls in my lunch break. And then when I would come home of an evening time, we would get the kids sorted and all the rest kind of thing. And then I was either out the door to go and do an event, or I was on the phone. Home and Away and Neighbours, which I used to be addicted to, even back in Ireland, went by the wayside. Okay, the things that, you know, myself and Mick agreed to be passing ships. We made an agreement that if we were going to give this a go, we were going to give it a go. And so we would be those passing ships. So the sacrifices that needed to be made were made, because every time I would look at the front of my diary and go, if it is to be, it is up to me. No one else is going to do this for me. So that's kind of, you know, that's that part of the story. And if we kind of move forward from there, that was the April. I promoted as a manager. 8 weeks later, I had my company car. 3 months after, within 3 months, my first 3 months, I qualified for the company car, which is what they did in the Tupperware business. And then by that Christmas, I went in and handed in my resignation. So by the time that baby, who was 3 months old when I'd gone back to work, was 1 year old, I was working out my my final kind of leave with them. And that was then where I moved forward from there. Now, I'd like to say that it was all sunshine and roses after that, and it was all done and that. But you know what? Life is life. And what I love and what I kind of, have learned to live with over the years, it is that this beautiful profession, and I call it a profession because I believe we are all professionals in what it is that we do, we choose to embrace it, is a roller coaster. It's an absolute roller coaster. So there will be the highs and the lows. And for those of you, who've done any study into all of this, that's actually what life is about. You can't have the light without the dark. You can't have the happy without the sad. You know what? You can't have the plus without the minus. It's actually totally normal. And in fact, it is there to serve us, because we wouldn't know what absolute beauty is. We wouldn't know what excitement and recognition and all that is if we didn't have the other parts to be able to compare it to. So what I learned early on was that as long as I was prepared to show up and do what it was that I needed to do each day and each week to be able to be a powerhouse in my business, my own business. This wasn't about what anybody else, my team or anything could do. How could I show up as the best leader? That was what got the results. So that was a little bit about my story. I know that was really long-winded way around it, but I just wanted to kind of show that, it can be different for everybody. And I certainly I didn't turn on a light switch and suddenly it all came together. I hope that's what you were after, Christine.
Celine, that was outstanding. Oh my goodness, that was an incredible story. And I think what happens is that people come into this profession and they see your chapter 20, but they haven't seen, the 31 or 35 years before that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the blood, sweat and tears that you've put in to get to where you are. So I absolutely love that. I've got like pages of notes already. But what I loved is when you spoke about when you were having that pity party, and your friend Christine, great name by the way, she's already awesome, I can tell. How you just said like she just heard you out. You didn't feel pressured or anything. She just sat in that moment with you. She was that shoulder for you to lean on, and she was just in that space with you at that time. Now, how many of us have team like that? We bring people in and they're having those pity parties, but we don't take that time. We don't give them that space to be able to feel heard and not pressured. And then quite often they feel like they're failing and they can, often leave the profession because, they haven't felt like where they are right now in that moment is acceptable. So I love that in our team we have those mantras, which you've heard before, which is, you're acceptable as you are. You're a blessing in our team, whether you do a little bit or a lot, and you go at your own pace. And I love those mantras because for people that come into this profession, they pop at different times, don't they? Everyone has different things going on in their life. But what I'd love you to talk about next, Celine, is probably two things here. So number one, why do you feel like people who are coming into this profession, especially into our company, are in the right place at the right time? And then the second thing, why do you feel that people leave this profession? Why do you believe? I mean, you're around and on the board, I think, of the direct sales, or you're very tied up with that. So you would see a lot of statistics and things in that area. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on those two things in particular.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So one of the reasons why I really believe that people probably leave. I'm gonna touch on that one first of all, because funny story. So beautiful Christine, who I love and appreciate so much. She was that person that kept the light on for me. To be able to be in the business. She was there while I was dabbling, and then she held that light on for me. However, a couple of years in, probably only about a year and a half after I gave this business a strong yes, Christine actually left. And she left because life got in the way for her. And she actually kind of, and again, it is so sad because you never know who you're developing. And I think that there was that time where she just kind of, didn't really reset her goals and look at where she was, and life did get in the way. And some personal things had happened for her. But, she didn't stay close to the fire. She didn't stay plugged in to the support network and the support system that we have. And it's at those times sometimes when you feel that maybe you don't feel enough, or you have got stuff going on at home, or whatever it might be that's going on for you, that you start to disengage. You kind of think that, okay, you know what, I haven't got anything to give here. I'm not adding value, or whatever it is. And so you actually pull away, which is the worst thing that you can do. It's about stepping in and getting close to the fire. It's about linking arms with the people, even if it's just about showing up. It's just about showing up and getting that injection, because it will click again for you. So I would really, really encourage you, for any of you who are on a journey where your business might not be where you want it to be, or for whatever, life might be just happening. You know, life happens for people. Stay close to the fire, because I can tell you that I've been, you know, I'm very passionate about our profession. And so I have friends right across in many, many different companies. And before I joined the Juice Plus company, which is actually 10 years now, this will be my 10th conference, which is a bit scary because it's gone like that. But before that, I was consulting to a number of companies as well, after I had retired from actively being in the field. And so I've seen many, many companies, and I've seen many cultures. And the reason why I am here in Juice Plus is because of the culture, it's because of the community that we have. It's because that we have a legacy company that has been around for nearly 50 years. We have a product that's been on the market for nearly 30 years. We are backed by research. We put ourselves under the rigor of organizations like the TGA and many other, the FDA and many of the most stringent testing bodies on the planet. Do we need to do that? No. We actually, I mean, if you walk up and down the aisle, say, for example, at a health food store or in the supermarket, and you look at the health products or whatever like that, if you were to pick them up, there's very few of them that would actually have a TGA listing on there, because they don't want to go to the expense or the questions of doing that. What I love about this company is that we choose to do that. You know, there's an investment in that, there's a cost in that. Like any factories that make our product have to be passed by the TGA. That generally means, I know at NAI, where they encapsulate all our products, I remember having a conversation there where it was hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of upgrades to make sure that their facility was TGA approved and that. So when you're a part of a company like that, you know you're in the right place, because they're investing the money in the right places. They're investing the money where it actually, sometimes you don't get to see it, but that's the beauty about it. It's right there behind you. You've got that armor, that suit of armor that you can put on and go, you know what, I am part of a company that has stood the test of time. That's super exciting. It really is. And why is that exciting? Because it means you don't have to worry about whether your check is going into your bank account on the 10th of each month. You don't have to worry about whether now, as you're building this business, is it still going to be here for your children or your grandchildren to be able to benefit from? You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about whether you're going to get let go in a year's time or whatever like that. What you're building, is it still going to be around, because it's a strong and sustainable business. So I can honestly, Gary, I wouldn't be here if I didn't feel, and I did all of my research when I was, when the Juice Plus company had invited me to kind of get involved in the company, there was another company in the same, in our profession, in a similar field, that was talking to me at the same time. And when I weighed up the pros and cons about it, what just blew me away was the belief from the ownership, right from, you know, Jay Martin in Memphis. I remember sitting in his office having a bit of a chit chat with him, and just looking at this man who was just as passionate, you know, at that stage, 40 years on, as I would imagine he was the day he decided, you know what, let's start this company. And that's what I love. And he was as passionate about, not about the money or the success or anything like that. He was passionate about the people. I couldn't get over the fact that he knew everybody's name, and he asked, and he just is curious. And to this day, he'll send me an email. How's things going, Celine? You know, how's things all going down in Australia and New Zealand? Loving you, you know, love you guys, whatever. He'll just send a one-liner, just kick it out of nowhere kind of thing. And that's what I love. That's what I love. That's what I love about, you know, our leadership here in Australia with Peter and Louise and our team that we have at our home office. They are here to support you every step of the way. So you are most definitely in the right place. You're most definitely at the right time, because I think some of the stuff you're going to see us roll out at conference and beyond is so exciting for what we're only just beginning. Now, have we stuffed up and done some things wrong over time? Absolutely. My goodness me. But we would be only kind of, that's just life, that's just learning. So for example, our IT system definitely needs an upgrade. And so there is millions of dollars being invested right now. I just got back last month from Baden in Switzerland, where I spent a week head down, bum up. We were gathered around the table with about 20 of us, literally shredding everything and starting at right from scratch. If we were to build a brand new virtual office and website, what should it look like? And I can tell you it's super exciting what it is that we are planning for you. So all of those kinds of things really, 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 honestly, my heart and my hand say to me, we are so in the right place, and I can't wait to see what we actually get to develop. And I don't even know if I answered your question, but I hope I did. I got excited again.
I love that. I love that, Celine. It's all been gold, whatever's coming out of your mouth, but it usually always is. I love that you spoke about how we're a legacy company. Absolutely. That's so incredible. And it's strong in it, and it's a sustainable business as well. And I've met Jay Martin, and you have nailed it. He is passionate about the people, and he's a storyteller, and we're in the business of telling stories, and he is the best storyteller I've ever met. He's even got a book of stories that he's brought out, which is amazing. Awesome. So what would you say would be your 3 biggest tips to success in this business then? What have you got? What are some gold nuggets that you can share with people that would love to expand and grow their business and take it to that next level?
Absolutely. Well, look, the first one I actually wrote down because I was, giving this some thought, and the first one for me actually, when my business flipped the switch, was when I decided to own it and be proud out loud. When I actually realized that what I actually had, the gift I had in my hand, that I had ignored, that I had kind of slightly looked at and kind of ripped the paper a little bit. When I decided to be proud out loud about who I was and what I did, that was the difference that happened. Now, it was an internal difference in the first instance. That was just, I held myself differently. I entered into conversations differently. It wasn't that I got a poster and put it up and and wore that, or put a name badge across my forehead or anything like that. There was just a mental shift that I said, you know what, I'm owning this. This is not just some side gig. This is not just something that I'm doing to kind of for the extra little bit of money or whatever like that. Even though for the first little while, that's actually what it was, because I still had my job and everything else. When I actually decided that this was who I was. This was who I was. I was a direct selling professional. That this was who I was going to be for my future. I really saw it as the thing that could actually change the circumstance for our family, give us different choices. And once I decided that I was going to own it, warts and all, because I knew that not every day would be sunshine and roses, like I said. I knew that there were going to be days when I would get up and go, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do another call. I don't want to go out and do another event. I knew there would be those days. But I also knew too that if I was prepared to show up, get up every day, show up, get dressed and put a smile on my face and go, you know what, whose life can I impact today? I knew that our lives would be impacted too. So that's the first thing I would say to each and every one of you. Make a decision to be proud out loud about who you are. Don't shy away from it. Okay, this is a really noble profession. It really, really is. And I just would say to you, make a decision today. When you get off this call, or if you're watching the replay, decide to draw a line, just an imaginary line on you don't have to go and draw on your carpet, okay? An imaginary line across wherever it is that you're sitting, and step over it and say, I own this. This is who I am. This is why I am going to get up there. I remember, and it was so funny because Emma Snedden said it in the Gold Coast a few years ago, and I chit-chatted to her afterwards and says, oh my goodness, that was me. I remember she said on stage, she didn't want to be the mom who looks at her kids down the track and said, we could have had it all if I was prepared to do it. I'd said the same to myself. My kids are still my inspiration, even at 27, 20, 28, 27, 23, or whatever age they are. They are still my inspiration because we get to be able to do life together, and I love that. And so be proud of who you are, because when you are proud of who you are and the profession that you actually are in, that then will create the difference in what it is that you get to create in your life. So that's the first one. The second tip for me was, and some of you are going to go, oh, here she goes again, but it really is, it's taking responsibility for your actions. In other words, way above the line. When you find yourself going into blame, shame, and justify, take a deep breath and just ask yourself, in this moment, and it's only for this moment, because we know being responsible all the time can be, hard work, but in this moment, how can I take responsibility? How can I move away from blame? Am I blaming my upline, my downline, the company, the internet, the traffic, the rain, the whatever kind of thing? As soon as you find yourself going there, snap it out and just go, stop. Okay, in this moment, how can I take some responsibility for the next action? Shame. When that negative self-talk starts, I'm not good enough, I'm not as far along in what I should be in my business, I'm not tall enough, skinny enough, healthy enough, whatever like that, to talk about Juice Plus or to share, this business with people. As soon as you start to have that kind of conversation, go, stop. Just kind of go, you know what? Thanks for sharing, but I'm going to take responsibility and step forward, and I'm going to learn in this moment. Or when you justify, when you have this story around why, you can't do something, the story around why you can't get to conference, story around why you can't be on a call like this, the story around, why there are no names on your grid, even though you think you're talking to lots of people, there's not one name on your grid. Every time you come up with a story around that, just stop and take a breath and go, you know what? In this moment, I'm going to take responsibility for one action. And I'm going to ask, what if, or how can I make that happen? What does it take for me to be able to do it, instead of justifying why we're not doing something? So the second one was implementing the responsibility game, and all credit to Jack Canfield, who is the beautiful master coach that I was training under at the time when I actually learned that tool that has served me so well, both in business and personal life over the years. And the last little one that I had written down here was, give yourself an ACE checkup. Now, this is again something that I still regularly plug back into. So ACE, ACE, attitude, commitment, effort. Where is my attitude? So having a little look, and especially, do this on a regular basis, but especially if you're in a bit of a funk, okay, stop and kind of look in the mirror and go, okay, where is my attitude now? Have I got an attitude of gratitude for the people and the blessings that are around me? Have I got an attitude of gratitude for the fact that I've got a roof over my head, I've got food in my belly, and more than likely, I have got money to put petrol in the car, okay? Have I got an attitude of gratitude for the gift that is my business, that is in front of me at this point in time, that I could do something with? Have I got an attitude of gratitude, the fact that I actually even woke up this morning? I firmly believe that we are grateful for what we have been given, we will be blessed with so much more. And that was, again, how you just kind of go, you know what, we just got to show up and be grateful every single day for everything that you've got. Now, I don't know what your beliefs are, but for me, I just start my day with just thanking God, A, that I woke up, and B, that I actually get to serve today. And so, and I just have a little prayer of kind of thing, how do you want to use me today, God? What is this going to be? How do I get to serve and be grateful for the fact that we do? So that's your attitude. C is the commitment. Commitment is actually shown by what you truly do. As leaders, we often talk about watching the feet, not the lips. Okay, because all of us, every single one of us can talk a really good talk, but what we actually are committed to doing that is the difference. So are we committed? And the E is the effort. Are we prepared to put it in? So we made the commitment to actually do what we say we're going to do. Okay, and then E, are we putting the effort into actually making it happen? So for example, a simple tool is something like the grid. For me, with my team, and even for myself, if I needed to get out of a funk, or if I needed to get into action or whatever like that, the grid came out. 30 squares on a piece of paper. It's not that hard. And literally, it will be a case of, who am I having a conversation with today? Who am I going to get curious about today? And if there's a name going into that box, fantastic. I've done my job today. If there's not a name in it, I'm playing below the line. I'm blaming, shaming, and justifying. And especially in today's world, because with social media and everything, there is no excuse not to have a conversation, not to get curious about people. So be proud out loud of who you are and what you do. Don't hide it away. Don't assume that people are going to get it by osmosis, because I can tell you they won't. Okay, if you're not showing up, and being prepared to share who you are and what you do, they're not going to know. The responsibility game, take the opportunity to play above the line. When you find yourself going into blame, shame, and justify, which we all do, we are all human. There is no perfect being. So we will go there. It's whether we decide to camp out there. That's the problem. So getting back above that line. And then regularly give yourself an ACE checkup, attitude, commitment, and effort. How is it that you're truly going to show up? Have you got that right attitude? Have you got the commitment to make this happen? And are you actually really putting in the effort, or are we just talking about it? So,
wow, Celine, I could write a book. I know you've written a couple of books. I could write a book on the gold nuggets you have dropped tonight. I should have sent you a microphone so you could do the microphone drop after that one. That was amazing, amazing. I love those 3 tips. They are absolutely incredible. I love your responsibility game. I love it when you teach us about that. And it is always comes back to, are we taking responsibility? Because we've had those people in our lives that love to blame, shame, and justify, and we've done it ourselves. And I can do it as well. I put my hand, I'm owning it.
Me too.
So when you say own it and be out loud and proud, does that mean we don't have to hide anymore? We don't have to be secret squirrels and hide that we're even in this profession?
No, oh my goodness. That's the exciting part about it, though, isn't it? Like, because when you own it, it's like when people say to me, oh, but what if they think it's one of those things? And I go, so what if they do? It's really cool. It's actually okay. And honestly and truthfully, I can say to you too, the objections that you might have been getting over time, whether it's about our product or business, you know what? It's not that they completely disappear, but you very rarely get them when you're actually proud out loud of what you're doing, because people will follow certainty. And when you're certain about what you're doing and when you're owning it, people don't question that. They just kind of go, I want what she's having. What, that is the truth. That's the God honest truth. Honestly, I can count on one hand the number of people that would have challenged me in a harsh or negative way about what it is that I do from the time I chose to own it. Because you just don't attract those people into your life. You attract other people. When you are certain and when you are proud, you attract those people who actually are just energetically on the same wavelength as you. And so even if there are others negative Nellies around, I don't see them. Seriously, don't see them, because you know what? I'm not looking for them. I'm not wanting to attract them. I'm wanting the beautiful people that actually want to serve in this life, that want to add value to the world and want to kind of give back and have fun along the way. So, yeah.
I think you ooze so much positivity that it just repels all the negative people from me. I feel a bit the same. Like, I just don't have negative people in my life. I'm too busy for that. I love that. And I feel like if we're all out loud and proud together, we actually get to lift the profession. We get to show people what this profession is really about, and we don't have to be like secret agents and hide it from people and be all kind of conniving and secretive and everything. Just be out loud and proud, and as Celine said, turn up with certainty and confidence, and you will attract the right people. And if you don't, then maybe they're just not your people. So I love that, Celine. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so for those that are watching and are maybe on struggle street at the moment, maybe they're financially strapped, maybe they're in a busy, hectic life, maybe their health challenges are getting in the way, or they've got 10 kids under 3, or and life is just chaos, and they can't really see like 5 years ahead, 10 years, 20 years down the track. What advice have you got for those people, knowing what you know now, knowing that you've been on the journey where a lot of them are going to go through, but a lot of them are going to quit and check out before they actually embark on the journey? What advice have you got for them? What vision can you paint? And I suppose in letting them know that like times change, it's not going to be like this forever.
Exactly. No. Look, I'm going to be straight up, guys. This is a simple business, but it's not always easy. And that's the truth of the matter kind of thing. If you're prepared to actually stay in line and stay close to the fire, like we said, you don't have to see 5 years or 10 years down the track. Because I remember being in the midst of 2 children under 2, full-time office job, shift working husband, family on the other side of the world, wondering, where was I going to find this extra time that suddenly I was going to build this business with or whatever like that. And it was really, really interesting, because once I said yes, it's not like the time magically appeared, okay? But what happened was I just made different priorities. So for where you are right now, you don't have to think a year down the track, 5 years down the track. You just need to look at right now. What priorities, what are you prioritizing in your life? And when people say about their business, they want to build their business or whatever is important to them, the quickest way to be able to tell really and truly what's important for people is to look at what their diary is. What actually is there going on? Two ways, actually. Look at what's in their diary and look how they spend their money. Okay, they're the ways that it'll show up for you. So if you're really right at this point in time, you may be in struggle sheet. You might have 10 kids. You might have whatever it might be. Because believe you me, everybody has got something going on. Again, Christine alluded to it earlier on. Sometimes we look at people's chapters 20 and compare it to our chapter 1. And oftentimes, too, I think in this world of social media and that we're looking at everybody's highlight reels. We're looking at all of the fun stuff and everything that's going right and all the rest. And then we're kind of thinking, oh, but that's not me. That's not my life. I can't do that. Honestly, don't kid yourself. What's on social media is not real most of the time. It seriously is not. We post up what it is, the highlight reel. So for yourself, just ask yourself an honest to God question. Do you want things to be different? Right now where you're at, do you want things to be different? And if you don't, that's okay too. Okay, that's totally okay. But if you do, don't make it just a statement that has no real meaning behind it. Start today to look at what your priorities are. How are you showing up on a day-to-day basis, no matter what you've got going on in your life? I worked in 30-minute blocks. I still do to this day because I learned when I had little kids and, as I said, at the job and all the rest, I learned that I could carve out 15 to 30 minutes that I would be able to go head down, bum up. That's a phone call made. That's a social media post done. That is a follow-up done. That's an order processed. That is a quick team check-in. Those little 15 to 30-minute blocks, if you use them and you've got your list of, you know exactly what it is you're going to do, will change the direction of your business. So a challenge I have for any one of you who are on the call at the moment and you're kind of going, you know what, I'm not really sure, or I've got all of the list of excuses that, Christine laid out there a minute ago, and you're not sure if this is for you. Do a time audit. Really, really check in on what you're doing. And I know some of my team used to hate when I would get to do this, but I still do it myself, probably every 6 to 8 months. Is I literally would get a pen and paper, and I know you can be all technical and put it in, but I love the pen and paper type of thing. So I'd get a pen and paper, and for 7 to 10 days, I would write down absolutely everything. About every 30 minutes, I would write down whatever I did in that previous 30 minutes, from the time my head lifted off my pillow till the time it went back down on my pillow at nighttime. For about 7 to 10 days. Why? Because the first few days you're going to be really good because you're writing it all down. And it's a little bit like when you give up Tim Tams. Okay? You have maybe one on day 3 because, day 1 and 2 you were really good. And then by day 10, you're not sure what happened to the packet because it's disappeared. And that it couldn't possibly be new about it. So the old habits will kind of start to slip back in again. Check what you're truly doing. See how you really are showing up, not what you think you're doing, but how you really are showing up. Now, as a coach, I would set this challenge for people when I was coaching in business, and that whether they were a CEO or if they were wanting to work with me, they had to do a time audit first of all, because we needed to pull everything back and be really raw and truthful about what was really going on. What were we really doing? Not what we were thinking we were doing, not what we were busy thinking about, but what we were actually doing, because that's where the rubber hits the road. So no matter where you are in your circumstances right now, everything is reversible. Everything is a stepping stone to move you to the next step. So for you, if you're prepared to take the challenge, do that time audit. Be really, really honest about what it is that you're doing, and then be prepared to plug in. There is no such thing as I haven't got enough or I can't do it. There's none of that. It really is just us making up excuses for why we're not prepared to actually put the work in. But right now, if you wanted to, so for example, it's only a few weeks to conference, and just say you happen to not have your conference ticket. I don't know why you wouldn't, because it's going to be freaking amazing. But anyhow, just say for some strange reason you haven't got it as yet. And you're kind of going, oh, I don't know if I can get there this year. Well, you're going to miss an amazing reunion, a family reunion like no other. And that, just saying. But just so you were, right now, you could actually make a list of people that you've been putting off talking to about Juice Plus. You could go out there next week, and by actually positively having conversations with people and following up, you could actually more than likely have new people eating Juice Plus, adding Juice Plus to their diet. Okay? And your check on the 10th of June could help you actually get to conference. And the one the following month will pay off the credit card bill for the flights that you put on it to get to conference. So the reality is that you can do anything you choose to do if you're prepared to put the work in. So for me, even when the kids needed soccer boots or whatever like that, I would look at what do I need to do to make that happen? And then I would smile and dial, and I would have conversations to make it happen. So every one of you between now and the end of the week, which is end of month, you get to be able to decide what your check on the 10th of June is actually going to really be like. Over these next few days, you get to be able to make those decisions. But it just comes down to whether you're prepared to do the work that moves it from being a simple business to being a successful business. So that's what I would kind of say to you. It's all excuses are equal, as we hear time and time again. And for your leaders to link arms with you, they're going to watch the feet, not the lips. So I'm going to encourage you, if you want to be one of those people that actually they link arms with and they run alongside with, and that, then be prepared to step in. And whether you do a little or a lot, you absolutely are loved. However, don't be the person who talks about wanting to do a lot, but uses every excuse to kind of go, you know what, I'm just going to go off track here for a little while. So we believe in you. We believe in your ability to be able to be, do, and have anything that you want. I'm going to challenge you to believe in yourself. Back to you, Christine.
Oh, I love it. Where's that microphone to drop it? That's awesome, Celine. Now, I'm going to throw a couple of questions at you that you didn't know that I was going to be asking.
Okay.
But out of all of your accomplishments so far, what are you most proud of?
Being a mum.
Simple.
I love my children with every breath in my body, and I'm so grateful for this profession, because it has helped me to be the mum that I am today, that I actually get to be able to sow into our children's lives so that they know that anything is possible and they get to be able to live. So yeah, being a mum.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, that was short, sharp, and simple. Thank you. How do you deal with burnout, honey? Because you're very good at juggling. You should be in the circus because you're juggling a lot of things. You travel, like your calendar of travel every year is insane. How do you prevent burnout?
Yeah, okay. So I had to learn the hard way. I had adrenal fatigue twice early on, back in, probably it's about maybe 18 years ago now. And so I actually wasn't very good at it early on. I would actually just go without honoring my body and who I am. When I realized that when I actually really got to understand how I work, and being that introvert where I just need that downtime, I then would just schedule that in. That was what it was. So for me, it is about knowing, okay, what do I need to put in to be able to do? So for example, conference is coming up. I will be, on go. I will be just running. But I literally on Sunday, I then fly straight down to Tassie, and I'll have 2 nights down there with my boys, collecting my hugs and just switching off and doing what it is that I need to do. I start my day each day, as I alluded earlier on, in just that opportunity. So I do the 5 a.m. club. So out having a walk, or just being in a space where that's just about just quiet thinking, praying and reflection, and just setting myself up for the day. And it's funny, when I don't do that, that's the time when I actually find that I burn out quicker. And just doing what I love to do. There's always going to be the parts of any job or any position where you just kind of go, in our business, that you're just going to go, oh, I don't really want to do that. But it's balancing it out with what I get to do. And, you know, something like this, hanging out and being able to serve you guys, I mean, that just lights me up. I love being able to do it. But then I also know on the flip side, then I need to make sure that I am honoring, you know, what it is that I have. So I talk to people about, you know, the coaching model that I had designed when I was doing my coaching training was around health and well-being, relationships, spirituality, and career and business. And then in the middle was kind of, you know, fun and love. So I just make sure that even though it won't ever be that it's 25% here, 25% there, and whatever like that, I always making sure that there is something going on in each one of those areas, so that for me, it just fills my soul. So being with my family and being with my husband, you know, they're the things that I make sure that are in, you know, those friends. I might book, you know, catch-ups with my friends months out because we're all busy. We all have stuff that's going on, but we prioritize making sure that we're getting together and how we do it. So I just make sure that I'm putting in that self-care, and that I'm passionate about what it is that I do, and that kind of just keeps me going.
I love that, Celine. Some great advice in there. My next question to you is, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. I think it's just belief. I think, you know, I don't know if you could describe belief as a superpower, but it's just belief. I believe in the goodness of people. I believe that anything is possible. I believe in an amazing God. I believe that, you know, family is everything. And I just get it every day with a belief that it's going to be great, even on the days when, you know what, it's challenging, you know, or, you know, you're going through things and that. And, you know, like I said, it's not all sunshine and roses, but I always believe that on the flip side of that is going to be something truly amazing. And I believe that every circumstance that I'm actually going through is about sharpening the iron. It's about helping me to grow into an even better person. And so I don't believe that there is anything by chance. So yeah, I think my superpower would be just an unshakable belief.
Fueled by potatoes.
Fueled by potatoes. Amen.
For those that don't know Celine loves potatoes. Any way she can get potatoes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Celine, last question, and then we will let you go. If you had a billboard and the entire world could see it, what would it say?
If it is to be, it is up to me.
I thought that was going to be the one.
Yeah. Because if each and every one of us were to take responsibility for our life, our circumstances, if we were to do that, and whatever that might look like, but if each one of us was to be really aware of how we get to be able to impact the world by just showing up great in ourselves, I mean, what an amazing world we would actually have. And, you know, the world needs us. I'm probably going to go off on a little tangent here, but the world needs us, team. It really does. The world needs what we've got. The world needs our product. The world needs our business. Truly, truly does. Because if you look at the world at the moment, gosh, there are some sad people out there. There are some broken people out there. There's some really, really, you know, not so nice stuff going on in our world. But if we were to show up, and this is another reason why I suppose myself and Mick have always chosen to work, to really, you know, work hard at what we do, to be able to create the life that we have. Because in that, you get to be able to then serve from your time, treasure, and talents. You get to be able to give from time, give from money, and give from talents. If we were all to do that, just imagine what the world would actually really be. So I just think, yeah, show up and just, yeah, believe in what it is. Yeah, that's cool.
That's amazing, Celine. And if you raise your own level of consciousness, you have that ripple effect, and you help raise the consciousness of others. And it's the same with your vibration. If your energy is high, you're going to have that ripple effect on others, and it changes the whole world. So it changes your household, it changes your relationships with friends and family, it changes the community. If we can all just vibrate higher and raise our consciousness and be kinder, caring, more passionate, compassionate people, then the world's going to be a better place. And I absolutely agree, Celine. Like, if we're not sharing what we have with people, then, you know, in the famous words of Wendy Campbell, is you're being downright selfish. You know, we have an incredible product. It's life-changing, and we have an incredible business model that is also life-changing, and we just have to be the messenger. We just have to be the ones that go out there and share it with the world, emotionally detached from the outcome, because all we have to do is present this gift, this big box. You heard Celine speak about that, this box with a big red ribbon around it, and some people are going to rip that ribbon straight off, and other people are going to put it on the shelf for a little while, and they may open it down the track. But you've got to see this as a gift, and you are the gift giver, and that's all that you're doing. So, Celine, from my heart to yours, honey, we really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy lady, so to get an hour of your time, we are so honoured. And the chat is just going off. If everyone wants to just thank Celine in the chat there, that would be amazing. This is what I love about the company. You know, no one has ever said no to doing a call. It doesn't matter who it is. They are just servant leaders, and that's incredible. It's so rare that you find that in traditional business or the corporate world, you know. Celine, we love you. We cannot wait for conference. You're going to be bombarded with hugs from this team at conference.
Can't wait.
Thank you so much. You are incredible. And thank you to everyone for jumping on. We really appreciate it. If you want to take yourselves off mute and give Celine a big thank you, that would be amazing. Thank you, Celine.